Alright, so Bungie are changing this, Bungie are changing that. Plus 5% here, plus minus something there. Does your brain ever melt with the amount of updates and changes that Bungie talk about in relation to Destiny 2? Mine certainly does. But if you're wondering what are the actual good changes coming in Ash and Iron, yes, insert meme about how there are no good changes. But actually, if you want to continue to play Destiny 2, the game appears to be getting more rewarding in the update that we're getting for September. Of course, there is new content, new weapons, exotics, changes to the power leveling system, featured gear, and a bunch of other things. So if you want a roundup of how the game will actually improve, that will be the focus of this video. If you guys enjoy it, a rating below very much helps us out. Now though, let's get into it. So this week, Bungie have posted the trailer for Ash and Iron, as well as details on the new content. And the first important change for the update is, of course, the new content itself. As we've seen, we are returning to the Plaguelands, and unfortunately, Siva is dead in this version. That isn't necessarily surprising, as Bungie essentially said that a few years ago at this point. Trust me, I'm as disappointed as everyone else in that regard, but there'll be a couple of pieces of activity content featured on the Plaguelands. And of course, the new exotic mission, that will reward a new exotic weapon. There'll also be a new exotic in the season pass, and we've spotted a couple of those in the trailers. Outside of purely new content though, in terms of progression changes, the power level will increase ultimately up to 550. Important things in relation to power leveling though, the reward multiplier will use account's highest power after Ash and Iron, so we don't have to have our highest power level equipped at all times for it to be recognized. And importantly for the power climb in general, Bungie are increasing the chance of a prime engram drop per completion reward in activities. So activities with more base completion rewards will provide more chances to actually get prime engrams. So for all players, at any power level, this should increase the speed that we're actually able to level up in the game. Beyond that, for the upper power climb, prime engrams will no longer be the primary way to actually level up. So from 500 to 550 power, if we earn an A or A+ grade in the portal, all activity completion rewards will give us +1 power. When you consider that some activities obviously have numerous completion rewards, this is going to significantly increase the speed of the power climb in those final 50 levels. Bungie have said this will also carry forward to Renegades, and for Ash and Iron specifically, the power climb from 400 to 500 will be accelerated by the power cap actually increasing and no longer requiring prime engram drops for that. Bungie are also increasing the chance of earning prime engrams on activity completion in the Crucible, and they've increased the bonus focus drop rates from 25 to 66%, which given the increased chance to get prime engrams from those, is a fairly significant change. But before we go any further, a quick message from our sponsor today. For those of us trying to ditch bad habits like vaping, of course it isn't easy, but there are things that can help us along the way. And recently I've made some big improvements, and this is what made the difference. Introducing Fume. The Fume pulls air through a core, and that creates a mild flavor with no combustion or toxins because Fume is focused on forging more positive habits and creating alternatives to things that have a negative impact on our health. And so Fume have the support of US doctors because this isn't an electronic device or a vape. It also isn't toxic and there is no nicotine, so it isn't addictive. Fume comes with a bunch of flavors, my favorites being orange vanilla and crisp mint, which are both really pleasant. The Fume is also very discreet, fidgetable, and built to last, which is why more than 500,000 customers have been helped to change their habits and improve their well-being. For a limited time right now, if you order the Journey Pack using code Houndish, you'll get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory that helps level up your experience. So click the link tryfume.com/Houndish or scan the QR code on screen to get yours today. It's totally worth checking out if you're ready to start your journey, and a big thanks to Fume for sponsoring the video. Next up though, in terms of rewards, Bungie are also making it easier to earn tier 5 rewards, so from 450 power onwards. For platinum and diamond reward packages, if we earn a score of 1.25 million or more, we'll guarantee a tier 5 drop. And we'll be able to confirm this in the portal by applying modifiers, and ultimately, when the reward threshold is at the right point, it'll preview a tier 5 engram, and as we power up, we'll be able to earn tier 5s with progressively lower grades, so at 500 power, we'll only be required to get a B+ for tier 5 drops. So for players in the upper part of the power climb, it's going to speed up in terms of progression and generally get quite a bit more rewarding than it is right now. So give me your thoughts down below in relation to power leveling speeding up across the board when we move into Ash and Iron. Otherwise, the next good thing is that we get new loot, so Bungie are revising the Mida mini tool as well as Drang, and we'll get a new high impact rocket launcher with strand damage, which will be across the shared pool for portal rewards. Trials of Osiris though, will see the Burden of Guilt, the Stasis Fusion Rifle, and a new rapid fire auto rifle with kinetic damage called the Ever Burning Glitz. Otherwise, Iron Banner will see the return of the Finite Impactor hand cannon, and Pinnacle Ops will get a precision scout rifle called Force Memorializer, as well as an aggressive SMG, the Seraphim Haze. Otherwise, there'll be new additions for solo and crucible ops, and a new set of armor for solo and fireteam ops. The 2-piece perk allows when you pick up an orb of power to gain a brief period of rapidly decaying damage reduction, then the 4-piece allows defeating a powerful combatant with a finisher to grant you special ammo progress and replenish a small amount of health. And that sounds marginally better than the one Bungie initially previewed. Otherwise, there'll also be new armor sets for crucible ops, Iron Banner, and the Raid in its epic variant, so plenty of new rewards being added to the game, really. Then in terms of portal updates, Bungie will add the ultimate difficulty, which will become available at power 451 and above. And with the reward ranks available in this difficulty, like we said, tier 5 gear will begin to drop far more readily than it does right now. Otherwise, Bungie will also add new fireteam ops activities, or should we say, returning fireteam ops activities, such as the Behemoth and Echo core battlegrounds, Hypernet Current, Inside Terminus, and Fallen Saber Strikes, plus some expeditions from Season of Plunder. They'll also update Grandmaster Conquests, so there'll be 4 new Grandmasters and 2 Ultimate Conquests available, which will also be replayable, although secondary runs of them will earn scored loot for Portal, as opposed to the buff drops that we get on the first clear. On top of that, Bungie will add dungeon layers to Pinnacle Ops, which are basically boss encounters from Warlord's Ruin, Pit of Heresy, and Duality. However, unfortunately for the moment, they do not have updated or reprised dungeon loot in the new tiering system, which obviously would have been a huge win if Bungie could have done that, but they have acknowledged on social media and accepted that that feedback exists, so maybe in the future we'll see that change. We're also getting reworks to some of the rewards in the game, and especially weapons that pair up with legendaries like Mida and Sturm. So Mida gets a new perk where making kills slowly provides various buffs. At stage 1, we get 25% faster handling and ADS speeds, as well as plus 5% PvE damage. Stage 2 will add another 5% damage, plus extra range and stability, with stage 3 giving 15% aim assist and another 5% damage. And then at stage 4, shots will detonate on impact. Plus, we're going to get a reprised Mida mini tool, which will come with new perks, gear tiering, and all of that kind of stuff. It would appear as well, Bungie are adding additional weapons that can pair up with these exotics. There's a shotgun that we saw in the trailer that looks like it's going to have the Mida trait as well. Then on Sturm, again, there will be new Together Forever weapons that pair with it, and Sturm's overcharge shots has been reworked. So when the weapon's overcharged, it will do 260% extra damage against bosses, 280% against mini-bosses and champions, 300% against minors and majors, and 75% against players. Additionally, making kills with overcharged shots will actually increase the magazine capacity of Together Forever weapons until death, which will be capped at 100% of the base magazine, so there'll be an additional pairing bonus there, which sounds pretty decent. Next up, it would appear there will be some story or narrative components to what we get in Ash and Iron. Alison Lurs from Bungie indicated that there'll be some bespoke missions we'll play through between Edge of Fate and Renegades, which sort of push the story forward or are a stepping stone into Renegades specifically. We'll see how it plays out in game, but there will be some kind of narrative momentum in Ash and Iron. Otherwise, an extra component is that Bungie will introduce a way to claim back cosmetic rewards from previous season passes once we get the September update. So if you own any older season passes and you have rewards which were not claimed, we'll be able to do that. I believe it relates only to cosmetic parts, not things like armor or weapon drops. But it will also enable players to purchase older season passes that they missed for the cosmetic rewards. Outside of that, Bungie will also expand featured loot in the game. So again, I understand there's a lot of feedback about the featured gear system. I think ultimately, Bungie should just scrap it or very heavily rework it in favor of player benefit one way or another. They have said though that all of our gear from Edge of Fate and Ash and Iron will remain featured in Renegades. So they're changing the plan where that featured component would go away. And it basically means all of our stuff right now will be soft sunset later than originally planned, which is good, at least for the moment. Otherwise, Bungie will add Younger Hamkara's Spine, Frosties, Stronghold, Hazardous Propulsion, Chromatic Fire, and Controverse Hold to the featured exotics list. And on top of the 2 new exotics, Mida Multitool and Sturm will also be added, as well as Trinity Ghoul, Buried Bloodline, Darcy, Heart Shadow, Sleeper Simulant, and Tractor Cannon. And so, obviously, there are even more changes coming in Ash and Iron, the sandbox tuning components, additional smaller things for the portal, and indeed rewards, but in terms of the heavier hitting changes, I suppose, this video pretty much has outlined the main ones that we currently know about. So, obviously, this update does not undo big system changes that players are not huge fans of in Edge of Fate. Realistically, I don't think this update was ever going to do that, right? So, at this point in the game, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, we have to let Bungie build from the game's current position. progression. And I know not everyone is going to have the patience at this point to allow Bungie to do that, which is totally fair. But from where the game is right now versus where it will be a couple of weeks after Ash and Iron, if progression, rewards, and the amount of activity content in the portal are some of your primary concerns, then the game is getting better in that regard. And like I said, I understand that does not fix the core fundamental issues with Destiny 2, at least not all of them. There are many more things that we want to see, but it is progress from where we currently are positioned. So give me your thoughts about it, guys. If you found the video today interesting, a rating really does help me out on the channel. Be sure as well to get subscribed if you want to be kept up to date with everything related to the game. And once again, shout out to my sponsor today, Fume. If you have a bad habit that you want to improve or replace in your life, then it's totally worth checking out. They have some awesome products. So all the details are down below for that as well. And cheers to them for sponsoring the video. Otherwise though, for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day.